Hello, ladies. Welcome to I Am Always Her. And today we have Heather Alvarez as our guest today. Heather and I are actually co-workers and have been working together for about a year and a half. She has been such a blessing and she has been such an engaging supporter with Always Her already, and just love her energy, love her stories. And so we are excited to bring you, today we're going to be talking about the identity behind the mask. So yeah.
So deep.
So Heather, I'm going to start by asking you, what is your mask?
So I would probably say my primary mask is a caregiver. I work full time. I'm a mom of 2 kids. I'm a wife. But I would say the most valued role to me is I take care of my mom. She was diagnosed with lupus back in 1996, and I was 9, just about to turn 10. And we've had some really great times with it, and then we've had some really, low moments.
Can imagine.
But it's just always kind of been who I am. She's a single mom as well, so it's just us, and I was her one child, so it's just kind of always how I tell everybody, it's just, we're kind of us against the world, and yeah. So I would say it's my biggest mask that I wear is being a caregiver. It transpires into my job, into my very small friendship circle that I have. I'm always constantly searching that when I see that they're in need or in pain or going through something, I want to try to be that person who's trying to take away all of their stress, which sometimes can...
The saver.
Yeah, and I think sometimes it's a good thing and it's a bad thing, because sometimes people don't need to be saved. And I forget that it's okay that people go through things and they don't have to be saved. Sometimes that's their experience that they need to go through, and if I try to take care of it for them, then they don't get to experience and get that lesson that they needed to out of it.
That's powerful.
So
does caregiving, since you've been doing it for so long, like with your mom, does that, come natural to you? Is that easy for you?
I would say yes. It's almost my second nature. A lot of times I don't even know that I'm doing it. I would definitely say a lot of times it's totally unnoticed until somebody mentions it. Even at my job, I'm consistently trying to do things that if I see somebody else is struggling or they're doing something, I try to rush in and help them, and maybe they didn't need the help, but
right.
Then I was just trying to be like that. Sometimes being trying to be the good person doesn't always also come across good either. It can come across fake. It can come across as you're just trying to insert yourself somewhere that doesn't need to be there and you don't realize it.
That is so powerful. So if caregiving if it comes so natural to you and it's so just easy, it flows from you, that being your mask, there's got to be a negative side to it as well, right? Is that...
Yeah, I think the negative side to that is until we started talking about and reading the chatterbox, it didn't really become present to me about the self-sabotage of, things are going on and you tell yourself, okay, I'm gonna go do this, whether it's hanging out with friends or going to a Christmas party or coming and talking to a group of ladies. You tell yourself that it's me time by staying and not doing those things, but really it's your self-sabotaging because you're putting yourself around people that you know and you like, but at the same time, I don't know, it's different. I don't know how to...
Well, you said that you were for example, coming here today was you almost didn't come here today. And that you self-sabotaged that because you feared, because that caregiver is so innate in you, that you feared that by coming here that you were letting down those who you care for, that you take care of. And instead of filling your cup, that you were letting other people down, that you needed to continue to...
I think it's a big thing I struggle with, being a caregiver, even to my kids. If I'm not there for every soccer practice, or every play, rehearsal, or if I'm not there for every moment of everybody else, I feel like I'm failing them. Like I'm not present in their life. I'm not making them feel that they're absolutely important, and that love that is, you know, just I think that safe feeling of just I'm here. And it's a good thing and it's a bad thing, because again, like you're there for your kids, but then for example, if I don't go to a birthday party, you know, Pedro, for example, dropped Aubrey off at a birthday party, and I was doing something kind of for me, but through work. We were doing the surprise at the grocery store. So Pedro dropped off Aubrey, and then I was going to come pick her up, and she called me crying because I wasn't there. So that safe factor that she feels, that when I'm there, she can play with her friends and everything. It's almost like she doesn't know how to sometimes interact when I'm not there. So, and then even talking with Allison, we talk about all the time, I'm like, gosh, like there's that part of me that's not envious, but I'm like, gosh, I want to be able to like go out with my friends. And then I realize, you know, my daughter tells this joke of, don't worry, Mom, I won't ever go away with a stranger if they tell me that they're your friend because you don't have friends. And that was a huge hit to me, because, and not a way, she's 8, and so get ready for the exciting like things that they'll think of. But then it did hit me of like, you're right. I mean, the very small friends that I have now are friends that are within our kids' friends, and I have, you know, I have a few people that are very good. My one best friend, the one person in this whole world that just got me, you know, the person you don't have to talk to every single day. I lost her back in May. She had health problems and she passed away, and it was a huge hit to me because she had health problems. Another thing that I do, I compare myself to other people all the time, especially moms who have it together. The ones that we think have it all together.
Not one of them got it together. Not one of us got it together.
Some are just better at covering it up.
That's true. But Maria was that person. She was perfect, you know. And I would tell her that I would get on myself. She's like, "Stop it. You in your own world are perfect. In the world that you exist, you are perfect."
Yes.
And even though you're trying to draw strength from other people, know that people are pulling strength from you. And it was such a beautiful relationship that we had. And through her, I've now built a relationship with her sister. So it's like, but to circle back, I still, like, I have all these people I talk to and engage with, but I don't have friends anymore. And I think part of that is that isolation of like, I'm a caregiver, I have to be with the kids, I have to go do this. And
but God used your daughter and spoke right to you.
If she did.
Yeah.
So you're like losing yourself.
I do.
And who you are, you know, by trying to take care of, you know, your mom and your kids and your husband.
The mom,
and
the caregiver, the wife.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, who is Heather?
Right.
And trying to go back to school. I was in school full time. I graduated with my associates, and now I'm supposed to go back for my bachelor's, and I keep putting it off because I was supposed to start in the spring or in the fall. I was supposed to start in the spring, and I didn't, because I think to myself, I don't have time. Like, I have to do this, and I have to be here, and I have to be with this person, and I don't. Again, I steal from myself to push towards other people.
Wow, so you really, like, not only does it come natural, but then it's like your defense mechanism, your excuse. You get to hide behind.
Yeah.
It's like your comfort zone because it comes so.
It's my curtain of like distraction of like, oh, I can't do this because my mom or my kids, or, you know, instead of saying, no, I should probably go do that.
That's deep. So where do you think all of this comes from? Like, how did you, you know, because you were young when your mom got sick.
Yeah. I was 10 and I didn't really understand all of it. When my mom got sick, I actually moved to Florida with my aunt. We were in North Carolina. We lived in Fayetteville. So I went from a world that I grew up in and knew to being in a whole other area with brand new people, like halfway in the middle of the school year. So it's really hard of a transition.
That is a whole different trend. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that double whammy of like you're just moving in general, it can be stressful, but then like you're also moving without your mom, the person you've been with your whole life.
And you're 10.
And I'm 10. So you're going, and I say that, you know, that age bracket between 10 and like that middle school age, you know, that 5th or 10th, in my opinion, is that's where it's at. That's where everything changes already in a child's life.
Yes.
So when things dramatically change, I think that's where you pick up and you're searching for the things around you to help identify you. So it just became, it became this thing that I also used to identify myself of like, if I didn't do well in school, I'd be like, oh, well, my mom is sick. And I think it did. It started back then. It was easier then to also say, well, my mom is sick, so I'm going through these things. And then the teachers felt bad for you, so then they cut you some more slack. And then it just became, I think maybe that's ideally where that identity started to build. You know, you saw the reaction of what happens when people, and it's not, it sounds really selfish and really mean when you say it, but as a 10-year-old, it was your identity. It was who you were. I mean, my mom was sick and my parents were divorced, so it was just my mom and my aunt and my cousin, and it was just kind of this world that we lived in. And my aunt did an amazing job. I mean, I had gained a lot of weight. I was like this little chunky, like 4th grader, and she really helped me with just learning that food wasn't my comfort, that like activities and people should be my comfort. But then somewhere along the line, I lost that and I forgot that that's what life was about. And again, I kind of creeped back to my hole of like I feel like my identity is when people ask me, oh, who are you? What do you do? What are your hobbies? Take care of my mom, I have kids, you know, I'm this, and then I start to think, and it really wasn't until my mom got sick right before Christmas this year, and you know, I'm sitting in the ER, and I'm just sitting there, and that's when the first video popped up. Your guys' first talk show.
Talk show?
Yep.
Or the talk show? The first talk show. You posted it?
Wow.
I was sitting in the ER with my mom, and we're just sitting there, and it just kind of hit me that my life is passing me by. And all these things I look at back, and all these examples, and all these opportunities in my life that I allowed myself to be missed. I grew up in church since I was a baby. I never went on missions because I felt like, well, I didn't know God enough. How am I gonna be a minister to kids in other countries or just in general, because I don't know him enough. So I always let those things hold me back.
You didn't know your worth. You didn't know.
I would say I still don't know my worth. And because I have not built that worth and that true love for myself, that I've let not just the mask, but over the years I've built these layers. And you know, I had a conversation, and my husband came up to the emergency room and just kind of sat with me. We went out to the car, and I broke down crying because I was like, I don't know who I am. I'm afraid of when the kids are grown, when my mom is gone, when everything, all the things that I let myself use the excuse is gone, who am I gonna be? Who is that? When, like what we were talking about, I took the mask off, I let all the layers drop, and I'm standing myself in front of the mirror as bare as I can. Who is that person? And I don't know who she is. And I think it scares me, which then allows me to just pick everything right back up, throw it on as fast as I can, and not allow myself. You know, I've also been through a lot, and people ask me all the time, like, how are you even still standing? And it's my defense mechanism, because I tell myself people depend on me. I can't break, I can't fall, I can't fail, because if I do, here's the chain reaction of all the other people that fail because of me.
Well, do you feel like, that just made me think, do you feel like the caregiver piece, and I just want to say, being a caregiver is by no means a bad thing, but in everything that we're talking about, we're seeing the negativity that can come from putting all your identity in certain
like
things.
affecting your daughter now.
Yeah. And now, what was I going to, I just had the question and now I'm like, oh my God, what was I going to ask you? Now I don't remember.
It'll
What
come to you in just a
But like,
second.
I know, I'm going to be like, wait a minute.
Or at 3 o'clock in the morning, you'll be like, I got it! I got it!
Group
Hello.
text.
I can't remember the question. Heather.
So what do you think you're afraid of?
I'm afraid of finding out that I could have been better, that I could have been bigger and where I allowed myself to be. I'm afraid of the people that I may have to leave behind. The people that told me I could have done, for that aha moment, for them to, say, you could have been better. And I actually lived up to it. Because I think that's been my biggest thing too. I mean, a lot of things have happened, and even with my relationship with God, it was just easy to let that go away too, because bad things happen all the time, but you allow yourself, and when bad things happen and then you feel stained, and then you feel like you are already, I grew up in church, I grew up with God, and then I just fell so much farther from the truth of who he was and what his love was capable of, and you know it. But it's like, even in real life, if you don't believe that you can be loved in general, the last person I'm gonna expect, if I can't let a human entity that I can touch and feel love me, how am I supposed to let?
Or even yourself.
Right.
Can
That's
you
true.
stand in front of that mirror stripped of all the emotions and all the things and all
And
the
say that I
people and
still
all
love
the
that
hats
person.
and say, I genuinely love this woman. I don't know who she is, but I'm going to work on you, girl.
And I think that's my problem, and it's because I can't love myself. I haven't really let anybody else love me. And it affects, there's parts of my marriage that's affected, and parts of my children. They know I love them, but there's parts of that they don't get to experience. Friends that I've lost because I didn't let them get to experience it. So it's definitely, and of course, and then you find the excuse of like, well, I'll go to church next Sunday, I'll go to church next situation, and then even this year, this is the first year since Audrey's been born, we go to church candlelight. We always have since she was little. And this is the first year we didn't go. And she was upset. And she was like, but we always go. And again, I was like, well, Grandma's in the hospital, we have this, and all these excuses as to why we couldn't go. And then I think to myself, again, well, here you go, I let somebody else, you just don't.
The guilt of always letting someone down, not understanding that along the way, you're letting yourself down. That's furthermore letting them down because you've not built yourself up to a point of solid, rooted, loving of yourself.
Wow.
And it shows, you know what I mean? It
shows in all of us. I think we all, anybody watching can definitely relate to that, sister.
Yeah.
Thank you for
It
being
affects every one of us, and it affects the generations after us. And I think that's why it's got to start with us to love ourselves so much, to figure it out, how to become who we want to be, even in the struggles, even when, amongst the constant comparison, amongst the constant taking care of, the constant pleasing everyone, finding how we love ourselves so that we can pass that on to the generation that's after us, because they're watching.
Yeah. And even in relationships, before Pedro, I never had a real great, strong relationship. And I think going back, it's because I probably felt like I didn't deserve it. Again, the pleasing, it was more important to please another person, to be that perfect girlfriend than it was to be myself. And then, you have cheating and things that happen, and then you sit back and you look, and the first thing is, well, what did I do wrong? And it's not necessarily you did anything wrong, but it's also because your mental of what you thought was perfect is not. You know, like one of the things that I used to say all the time was, I'm not going to be the person who's like questioning everywhere you're going or what you're doing, or you have to be here at a certain time or whatever. And a friend of mine that was a guy was like, but if you give me no rules and you say I just have to come home, there's so much I could do. Once I leave those, the world is my oyster, but I came home. And I didn't, because I didn't respect myself and I didn't have boundaries for myself, I didn't expect boundaries from others.
That's so, yeah.
And that, it was a huge awakening for me. And even now, I'm learning it. I'm still trying to figure out. And thank God my husband is an amazing man, because it is. I'm sure it has not been easy roller coaster with me, but you know, it's been hard, and he has been a huge supporter, especially this year. You know, we said 2020, we say it every year, but this year he was like, you have to put yourself first.
Wow.
You have to focus on you.
What a man.
I know.
What a man for saying
And
that.
it's true, because most
And
men.
what a God talking to the people right in front of you. You may not have those friends that you feel like that you should have or want to have.
Oh, that's a good point.
But you have your family, and God is using every one of them to talk to you, girl.
Yes.
You need to put yourself
Yeah.
first. Mama, where's your friends? Because you know you need it. You're so awesome. You need to have these awesome friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
But where are they? Why aren't you going out with these awesome friends?
Yeah.
I mean, he is just.
He's there. He's saying hello. I'm
He
here.
And
is
they see this
he's-
person.
yes.
That's the thing, is they see.
Mhm.
I would, like when you said that you're so awesome, like Pedro sees this woman that's underneath, and he is dying for you to peel it back. And your babies see this beautiful woman who's underneath, and they're dying for you to pull it back. And you being here is like a huge
Such
step.
a layer coming off.
Yes, I mean, this vulnerability, like I've known you now for a year and a half, and I know we don't talk like every day, but just, I mean, this is the most you have ever shared. And just by doing this, like, I mean, you're speaking to women who are dealing with this, who are scared to death to pull away these masks because their comfort, their identity, who they is in this one or two or three things, because they're scared of these pieces over here. They don't know this woman that's underneath. They don't feel worthy. They don't feel enough. They don't know who she is. But you are so amazing, and you have this, and I'm so proud of you for just taking this step. Like this is a huge step.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
To just begin to pull
Absolutely.
the layers back.
And
Even if
it
it's
is.
one, it just starts with the first one.
No,
And
I
there's
agree.
And here you are caring for them, going to the birthday parties, making the food, you know, doing the things that you feel like you need to do in order to care for them. But the biggest care that you can give them is to take care of yourself and to honor yourself and to show your daughter
The importance of self-love.
Yes.
exactly. And this is like, you know, when she grows up, like, you know, don't care for people in the same way I have been caring for them. Care for them by taking care of yourself and setting boundaries.
And I think it's the same for my son too, because he's very much like me. He's the introvert. He will take it all in, and no matter what, and he just kind of sits there until it hits that day. And then when it hits, girl, it is gone.
Get the fan.
And it's not even so much in like attitude and there, but he breaks, and I think for him too, like, it's, you know, we say it's really important for women to have the self-love, but I think in general for men too, because I think it's important to have the self-love, but also to see a parent who has self-love and cares and knows how to identify that, as like even my husband has. I feel like I want him to learn how to be that for his partner. You know, to be able to identify and say, you know what, it's okay. Like, I think again, to love somebody else, and I tell people all the time, to love somebody else, you have to love yourself. See this again, we say this all the time. I know what to do, but doing it is so scary. And so easier to tell other people and make them think that, like, I mean, if I wouldn't have broke down and told you, I mean, you would have thought like, wow, this girl is like on top of the world and she's great and nothing to know. I'm like probably the most, I would say, broken person inside, because of the fear of who am I, that constant question of when I take off the mask, when I take off all the layers, who is left? When there's no other excuses, when there's no other identities to hide behind, who is there? And I think that's my goal for this year, is to find who that is.
And who do you want her to be?
I think
that was powerful. And here you are from the outside. I mean, you're beautiful. You have, it sounds like an amazing man.
Yes.
You know, you have two, I'm sure, beautiful kids and an awesome personality, and you're just caring for people and giving for people and, you know, taking care of your mom, and, you know, so just like exuding from the outside, it seems like you're just exuding all of this, but
I don't
the
see
mask.
that. When I look in the mirror, I don't see what everybody else sees. I see this person who is struggling to get it together, who doesn't have the body she wants, the house that she wants, the perfection of like everything, you know. So I think, so again, I always continue to beat myself up because I'm not hitting that. So then I look at myself and like, all right, well, there's always next time.
But this is God right now working on the inside, because you can have the house, you can have the body, and that inside still be tore all to pieces.
Yeah.
I done sold too many houses that when I drove by the house as a little girl, I'm like, dang, what do they do? And honey, that household is broken, and that house is big as 10 of these homes that I'm sitting beside right now. And the same for the body. I know too many people who, on the exterior, you're beautiful and you got it together, but in the inside, honey, you are ugly. You are hurting. You are broken. And so right now, take the time of God saying, here, I'm letting you know that the inside needs to be worked on. Because all that other stuff is going to be like piece of cake. You know what I mean? Like what we see, work on seeing that for yourself as we all grow and take off the layers.
Good point.
That's true.
So what is it for this year? Like you said, this is your year of focusing on you and who you are. What does that look like as of right now?
I mean, it is finding time to be with myself, but I think it's allowing myself to build friendships, to find, I think, Shana, you had said when I went to your talk, and I say it all the time because it's true, we find other people and we try to live through that line, but we forget that those people may not be going on the same path that you are. So you're really letting somebody else drive you away from what your goal is. And for me, my goal is to allow myself to build friendships of people who are going the same direction I am. If
Or
not
who-
further.
Or who can support your direction,
Yeah.
like, or in that strong, like, support
But
your
allowing
direction.
myself to have that time to do it, and not telling myself, well, you can't because of this, or even though that isn't a real excuse, but you used it. To take time to have more meditation time, to learn who I am.
Yeah.
I think too is something really important.
Yes, that's so huge.
Yeah.
Just reflect and
Read more
discover
books,
what you
like do research, like find out, do research on who I am and who I want to be.
Yeah. Or even just having open conversations with God about who you are, who you want to be. Man, I find those can be some of the most eye-opening moments of just talking to Him and He will just tear you open. I mean, sometimes when you say things and He brings things out that you didn't even know were there, and you're like, oh.
ouch.
I mean, wow. I mean, it's a recognition of things, and it's not, just even emotions and feelings and things that you didn't even know were there. Things that you hid or buried deep, like when you bring it out and you just like,
Yeah, like if you journal.
Yes.
Or
That was something I said I wanted to do this
Yes.
year, was to journal and just put it out there. And I also said that, I told you earlier, something I think we're going to start doing this year is writing anytime something really great. And it doesn't have to be like, oh, we bought a house, but good moments that happen that just make you like, oh, yes. And put them in a jar. And the very last day of the year, we open them up as a family and we read it and remind ourselves of everything that was good that happened in our life.
that's so good. That's
So that's something else I think we're gonna try to do this year too. as a
Or
family.
even one night, like when you're at dinner.
Yeah,
Like,
that's true too.
Hey, it's February. We now have, you know,
Let's see what's in here so
10
far.
weeks, you know, whatever,
Yeah.
however many. Like,
I
let's
love
pull it
that.
out and just.
Let's talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I want to do that when I get
I know. I'm glad you brought that up because I saw that and I was like, I want to do that.
That's such a
And I
good
haven't, yeah.
to celebrate like the small things.
Yes.
To
The small things.
Just like the gratitude video we just made.
Yeah.
The first thing was to celebrate these small things.
Yeah.
Because the
They
small
are so
things
easily
build to
overlooked.
big things
And,
and
the,
allow you to enjoy those big things.
and the small things brings out the gratitude in you that mentally and physically and scientifically like exudes the energy and the connections in your brain to make you happier,
Yeah.
to lead to more blissful things, to helping, to serving, to getting it back because you're attracting it, like all the things. So these
Yeah.
small successes, whether it's, you know what, we cooked dinner and had a game night and it was smooth.
nobody
You know what I mean?
argued.
Nobody argued. I didn't yell at I got to cook and I didn't yell at the kids. Like, I mean, because let's be honest, like you're trying to cook and trying to answer an email or trying to answer a phone call or whatever and all this stuff, and then all of a sudden they're interrupting you. You're like, get it out, you know what I mean? And it's a success when you can say,
Do
this
all of
was-
those things and just
yeah,
be
the
like,
small things.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then to celebrate them. Girl, that was big.
Yeah. Well, when you celebrate, that's the thing. When the gratitude. When you have gratitude, gratitude breeds more gratitude. More breeds more gratitude.
And
So when you celebrate, it's the same exact thing. It's like gratitude, celebrate because you're thankful. But when you remember, call them out, celebrate those successes, like you build on that success. Then one success leads to another success. And
but then
another.
you're manifesting.
Yes.
Which then you become the seed. Or, well, somebody said this once, is the soil that you're in helping you grow? And are you the soil to others to help them grow?
Ooh.
And I think that if you can build on that gratitude and you're building that within yourself, and I think it's important, like I said, my goal this year is to find my soil that's going to help me grow. So that even though I'm trying to be the soil for other people, even though I think I'm a great soil, maybe I'm not, maybe I need to add some new things, but I think that's for me is what my biggest, I think that's what I'm going to focus on.
Wow. Oh, what a powerful revelation.
Yeah.
That's good. That's
And I
good.
think that's even a question for
Right.
the viewers is,
Yeah.
who are you when you strip away the wife, the mom, the career woman, the woman, you know, just so much that comes with just being a
Caregiver.
woman.
Just being a woman.
Just being a woman, you know, all the things that come with that.
I mean,
who are you?
Even the makeup. Our,
Yeah.
our
Yes, I thought
makeup,
about
our clothes, like, I just got
what
chills.
society has built into us as what a woman should do.
Yep.
And I know we talked about it with Danielle about, you know, when I met with Justin, she didn't like makeup, and I was thinking, you know, when I used to do that makeup, and I knew I wasn't passionate about it, but God said to do it anyways, when it was really about the videos. It was never about selling the makeup. And I was laughing because here I was trying to like, oh, I love to put makeup on. No, I don't. And it's okay to be a woman who
Yes.
doesn't like to put makeup on.
Yeah.
Like, I don't thoroughly enjoy. Like, I would love for you to come do my makeup. But wouldn't we all? You know what I mean? Like,
Hashtag
but
goals.
it's okay to not do what society has said. Okay, you a woman because you like to do makeup, or you like to have your hair done, or you like to do this. It's okay.
It is.
Yeah.
because
God
it's
didn't
so
put that part
bad.
into me.
When I don't put makeup on, everybody knows at work. When I don't have makeup on, I'm having a bad day. That's how it's gotten to this point. And, you know, like one of our guy
Girl,
friends
what
at
happened
work,
last night?
one of our guy friends at work, he goes, oh, so it's one of those days. He's like, it's all right, I'll send you some memes. And I'm like, okay, you know, but it's kind of funny because like he knows how to pick me back up, but it's that simple of like, oh, okay, you have some downtime. And I hate that it's like, but what if I just didn't want to put makeup on today?
Right.
What if I had a great night last
Right.
night and I just didn't want to wear makeup because I didn't feel like doing
Didn't
it?
feel like putting it on.
Right. But it
So-
can be like, even though makeup is fun and it can be good, like it can also be a mask, like being a caregiver or busy
Right.
or
Yes.
fake it till you make, you know, like
Taking an area that you're good at, being the mask of hiding the brokenness.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's good. That's powerful. Thank you, Heather. Thank you
Thank
for
you for letting me come.
being raw.
Oh, you'll be back, girl.
Yes.
We got more to discuss.
Yes, I love a good conversation when we're laughing and crying. I mean, those are all the feels,
And it's good though. I mean, this community itself just always hurt. I love that this is where it's going because when Allison brought it to me, and it's always in those moments where you're like searching for something. And then Allison was like, oh, I'm part of this group. I'm going to share it with you. Or like we're having a conversation. She's like, oh, I didn't even think about it, but do you want to come to the, this talk tonight? And that's what it led me. And it's like, you pray about it, and it's so funny because you pray about things all the time and God puts it there, but sometimes you don't always. You're not listening to what he's dropping. And thank God I listened. Because, I mean, this group itself has been...
Yes.
Yes.
Cheers.
Amen. That was
Yes.
good.
Yeah.
That was
So
good.
thank you, ladies, for
Absolutely.
having this group because it's going to be big. It's going to be great.
Hey, cheers to that.
But it's because of women like you who are
Absolutely.
willing to be vulnerable,
Yeah.
to share the story, to start the discussion that we can all relate to, and being open enough. And there's so much that this is just going to be a repeat guest because there's just so much.
Right.
So many pieces and layers and information and things that women need to hear.
Yeah.
I
Like
mean,
we need each other. We're a sisterhood. Like it's a natural bond. And if we can take off our masks or our curtains of whatever we're hiding behind for that day and just share and be okay with getting vulnerable, like I think that's how we really help each other. That's
And to be added to the group, to be invited to the group, when it's so easy to be online, to compare yourself, to watch all these things that necessarily is not feeding who you are. Like I watched, go back to I watched some makeup videos. I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Because it wasn't adding to me. It was stressing me out for not liking to do something that I was starting to feel like I was supposed to like to do. But to fill it with stuff that always her is here to encourage and inspire and to fill you up. And that's huge. But we cannot, even though 3 of us are here, it's the interaction of everyone that this is going to take. And that's the exciting part, that this is like a women's movement.
yes.
And
Yes.
it's something that it's very important.
Yes,
Yes.
like feed that phone, that brain, everything social media. Let's put it with stuff that's gonna walk away and be like, dang, I related to that, I cried with her, I felt that, and I'm gonna go and I'm gonna strip myself off and I'm gonna try to do exactly what she's going through, because I know I'm not the only one going through it now. But that's huge.
Yeah.
And that would be something I would say, I challenge you, find one layer. Find one layer, and if nothing else is here, make that the layer that you strip.
That's so good.
Yeah.
So good.
And acknowledge it. I mean,
Own it.
acknowledge that you have a mask. Acknowledge that you were hiding something. Yeah. Yeah. And put that
Acknowledge, that's a
layer.
good word. Acknowledge. I swear it's snowing and I don't know where this is
I
from.
This is awesome. This is awesome.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Is snow good luck? Does it mean
I hope
anything? Post in the comments! 'cause it's snowing!
That's awesome. Well, thank you everybody
Thank
for
you.
taking the time to invest in yourself, to listen to, women and our stories. And I hope that today, resonated with you in some way. I hope it inspired you in some way and that you're able to take something away from it. And we really challenge and encourage you to discover and put on paper even, who are you? When the identities, when the roles, when the makeup, when the clothes, when everything is stripped off and taken away, what are those attributes and qualities about yourself that you either like or want to like and want to love? And maybe it's a goal to try to get there. So if you feel comfortable, I definitely invite you to drop them in the comments so that we can continue this conversation. And thank you again. Until next time.
Yay!